Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another live chat. I am so happy that you are here. Tonight's live is going to be a little bit different, but I think it's going to be one that you are really going to enjoy. So I had a total different live plan for this evening, and it was actually going to be a part of my mini series for going back to school. However, my first day back in person with kids happened on Friday, and I have to tell you guys, I had like a whole mixture of emotions that I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit throughout this like entire live chat. And so when I was sitting down and I was like, I can't even begin to try to explain how I would do something in this type of environment, because it totally just like it pulled the rug from underneath me. So I'm gonna talk you guys through my first day back in person with 20 kiddos inside of my classroom. And I'm gonna share with you guys some things that I'm gonna be changing up moving forward from here on out. So we're going to have just a nice little conversation about the first day of school, what that experience was like. But before we do that, I feel like I have to announce something really, really exciting. So as you guys know, since I started this channel, I've always done something when it comes to teacher planners. I've always been a huge love of the planner community. I started off my channel doing an entire like tour of my teacher paper planner that I had created. And then it started evolving because as I started kind of really embracing technology, I moved to a digital planner. And I told Trent earlier, my husband, for those of you that don't know, but I told him earlier in the year, and I think I've been really struggling with it for the past, I think a little over a year now, with the digital planner, because I have so many hopes and dreams for it. However, my commitment, my time, the love is really in bridging literacy and having bridging literacy truly grow to what it is that I want it to be. So with me putting so much time and effort into bridging literacy, I was really starting to kind of feel a little bit drained when it came to digital planning and creating those resources. So my full intention was to just kind of drop it. And somehow, somewhere, I think it was like last minute. I want to say it was like towards the end of July. I mentioned to Michelle, I was like, I feel like I just can't do the digital planning thing anymore, but I'm starting to think that maybe this is something that we do together where I don't have to kind of take the entire load of all of it, and you can really help out with another piece and we can make it a teaching on the double thing. So I've transferred that resource to a different part of a business that I have with Michelle, which is teaching on the double. We have a podcast called Teaching to the Top. Totally love it. I think I just love working with her in general. She's a great friend of mine, and I know so many of you already know who she is. So I completely moved everything over with her, and we have now released our very special, like, top digital planner, which is also incredible because she pushed us to really do a Google Slides as well. So for those of you who are like total diehard Google Slides fans, we have a Google Slide planner for you in there. So I'm going to have Trent actually go ahead and put that into the description box so that you guys can go and check it out if you want to check it out. So that kind of has shifted. It was totally not a part of my plans at the beginning of the year, but then it just kind of like all the stars aligned. It was like one of those types of situations. So how are you guys doing? How's everything going? If you are in the chat, and I have quite a few of you that are in the chat, I would love to know where you at and where you are school-wise. Like what's kind of happening with your school? Are you back in person? Are you back virtual? Have you started yet? Have you not started yet? Go ahead and put it in the description box. Or a chat box. I know I always ask this question, but I feel like I have the memory of like a 94-year-old woman. So I feel like I never remember these things and I'm always having to ask these questions. Plus it also really kind of builds some of the engagement in here. And for those of you who don't really know each other, can really start to kind of connect with one another. I think it's just a really great community overall. So, hi. Oh, so Allison, tell Logan I said hello. Sweet boy. Let's see. I want to see some other people that are inside of this chat. I see a lot of my old time peeps that are in here. Okay, so Leslie, I am ready for a long weekend too. I was kind of thinking as I was planning out this week, I said, oh my gosh, okay, I really only have to plan 4 full days. And then I have like a half day on Friday with, I'm assuming, professional development of some kind in the afternoon on Friday. But I'm very much ready for a 3-day weekend. I think even though I just started, I feel like, whew, I need that 3-day weekend just to recoup just from Friday. So totally feel you there. Lola's in Orlando. She's going hybrid, and they start with team in the first few days. Nice. Yeah, Zoom has been a little bit complicated because when we were going back doing some Zoom stuff, because teachers were in their classroom for the first 4 days last week, and we did all of our meetings through Zoom. So we had like a Zoom webinar at times with the entire district, and then we had Zoom meetings. And there was one day, I think it was actually Monday, that Zoom was completely down. Like there was no help in it, which was not even a terrible thing because for those of you that are teaching, it was probably terrible. But I felt like I was able to get a little bit more done versus having to be in a meeting all day long. So many of you guys, thank you so much for joining in.
I'm curious how many are teaching in person and online. I think that's just,
in person and online.
Right. Remember the one teacher that said that they were like pulling a cart with the laptop of the virtual students?
Yeah. Is anyone doing like a teaching in person online type situation? I know that middle school, I think our middle school and also my son's middle school might be doing this exact same thing where they have certain periods that they teach kids in person, but then there are other periods where they do things more virtual. And so they're kind of working on some of those pieces there. And I think it's just because of the way they have the subjects all laid out with so many of them. Okay, so I am happy that you guys are here. Let's chat first day of school. I feel like there was a lot of mixture of emotions. Leading up to it, I will totally be honest with you guys, I was a hot, nervous wreck. It seemed as though the first 4 days, which I totally understand why my district had to do this, was that we were constantly trying to talk about health and safety protocol and procedures, right? Like it's important. We needed to know this. We needed to be debriefed on all of the different things in case something was to happen, or what is it supposed to look like inside of the classroom. So those first 4 days, it was like an information overload. And I remember just kind of leaving every single day feeling, holy moly, like we're never going to be able to get anything done between all of the spritzing, all of the hand washing, all of the things that I feel like I'm constantly having to get up and go down. And like, there were so many different pieces. Yeah, we're eating lunch in the classroom. We have special in the classroom, but my day is broken up very, very oddly, it seems like. So I'm going to kind of run down my schedule for you guys here. So here's how the day starts. So normally the kids would start to enter at 8:40. This year they're entering my classroom at 8:30. And it's just mainly because they're dismissing one bus at a time so that kids are not like bombarded in the hallways. So it's like little by little is how they're going to end up dismissing it. So the kids start to come in my room at 8:30. Not a big deal. They're super sweet. They come in, they do what they're supposed to do. And mind you, I've had these kids for an entire year already. So these were my 4th graders on the MAC team. They are now 5th graders. And so I know who they are, but I'll get to some other things in just a moment. So I feel as though I was so concerned and worried about all of the procedures, the routines, the hand washing, the remembering to sanitize certain things, not making sure that they're moving around because we can't move around. We need to stay with our eyes forward. We have to stay in our desk the entire time. If somebody's walking up, there has to be only one person at a time, making sure all masks are on. It was just a lot of information, and it made me feel as though we were never going to get anything accomplished. So at 8:40, kids come in, they're doing morning work. 9 o'clock, our bell rings, and that's kind of, you need to be in school in your seat. The announcements go on. And then once the announcements go on, my principal sends out a link for right now, that's like a pre-recorded morning announcements. And it's him basically just kind of, greeting everyone either through Zoom or in person. So everybody's kind of seeing the same message. Eventually, they're going to have it to a point where it's going to play live. So kids are going to be able to see my principal live in action type situation. Super duper cool. So once we do that, I'm supposed to have morning meeting in there. And I say supposed to because I don't know how often I'm going to actually be able to get to morning meeting. So I had from 9 to 9:20 to do morning meeting, but at 9:20 to 9:30, I'm supposed to go to my first recess. We have 2 recess breaks. So I go to my first recess, but then right after recess, I have to have a bathroom break. So that's about 20 minutes out of my day that I'm kind of pulling. And crazy part, we're not allowed to take our masks off when we're outside. Even if we're over 6 feet apart, we cannot take our masks off. So we go to recess, come back. We are back in the classroom by 9:40. At 9:40 to 10:50, I have literacy studio, which is going to be my ELA time. So I do my ELA time. It's an hour and 10 minutes. That's all I get. At 10:50, actually a little bit earlier, I have to tell the kids to go and wash their hands one by one to get ready for lunch because they need to wash their hands before lunch. So I do that one by one. Hopefully we're going to be doing something independent. It's just they're just going to have to take a couple of minutes from their ELA work to be able to do this. We have lunch from 10:50 to 11:30. I can leave during that time because there's an assistant in my classroom and they deliver all of the lunches to us. And then after that, at 11:30 to I think it's 12:30, I end up having math. So I have math for about an hour. We go to our second recess for 10 minutes, then we go directly to the bathroom. We have to have specific bathroom breaks because they don't want us to allow kids to walk around the buildings too much, unless it's an absolute emergency, which of course I already had about like 10 kids trying to ask to go to the bathroom periodically during the day. And I guarantee it's because they wanted to get out of their seats. I know these kids like the back of my hand. So after that, we went to the bathroom, we would come back, we would have about 30 to 40 minutes of something that I call win. So it's what I need. And during what I need, I can either be helping students working on something, kids can have choice in it, or they can be finishing up assignments that they needed to finish from ELA and math because we only have about an hour. And so after that, we have content for about 30 minutes. Then we're gonna do our read aloud, we pack up, we have special, we go home starting at 3:10, they start dismissal. Technically, school doesn't end about until 3:40, 3:45. So they start calling kids at 3:10 to be able to get kids to where they need to be, especially because we have such a huge population of like car riders in general. So my day is a little choppy and it's very short when it comes to what I'm able to do content-wise. So between looking at that schedule, my first, like before the first day, thinking about all the routines, procedures, and protocols and all of the different things that I had to do, I was a little bit overwhelmed. Guys, let me tell you, my kids handled it like a champ. Like they were pros at it. They lined up. They were like, they tried to stay 6 feet apart. Like they were washing hands. They knew they couldn't get out of their seats. Like I've had maybe a couple of kids that I had to remind, but they were pretty much champs at all of it. So I felt bad because normally on the first day of school, I do something big. Like I like to come in celebrating, getting kids excited about being back at school. And so normally I have like a breakout, a murder mystery, like something just exciting and fun that the kids are just like, man, this is awesome. And we do lots and lots and lots of collaboration, lots of small groups, lots of switching, lots of movement, and it just makes the day really fun for them. I couldn't do that this time. And I really struggled with how am I going to make this engaging? But I was also so concerned about the routines and procedures and making sure that we were going over things and modeling things. I felt like it was the most boring day I have ever taught in my entire career as a teacher. Like I felt so unbelievably bored and I felt horrible for my kids. And it was just towards the end of the day, I said, guys, I feel like today was not what I wanted it to be. I really want to make things special for all of you, and I feel like I wasn't able to do that. And I was really worried about the routines and procedures, and they just did such a great job. I was so impressed with them. And I told them, I was like, I'm going to go home and I'm going to make my brain think all weekend, and I'm going to figure out how to make this so much better so that when you guys come back on Monday, we can have something that's a little bit more engaging. So that was kind of the biggest piece. Was I felt that it was just incredibly boring, because kids can't turn around. They have to look forward. There's no like passing things and engaging in things. I had them stand up, which, by the way, if you guys don't know this one, this is going to be a really fun activity, and I'm going to stand up. Well, maybe I won't stand up, but what I ended up having the kids do is I would have them push their chair in, and I had them stand behind their chair. And so we played a game of heads or tails. And so I told the kids, I said, all right, I'm going to say heads or tails, and you're either going to choose heads or you're going to choose tails. Okay. And so they would select one, I would flip the coin, and then I would tell them which one it was. And so the kids really loved that. They actually asked to play that a couple of times because they enjoyed that one so much. But so that was little breaks like that was truly beneficial for them, because they're having to sit down for lunch and for special for all of it. So we did that. We played a game called Simon Says. We put on a Go Noodle, something that they could do very easily behind their desk, but that also wouldn't cause them to have to breathe really heavily because of the masks, which I'm going to get into in just a second. So we did little activities like that periodically. So we would just have kind of some of those brain breaks. And so having those brain breaks, guys, if you're not in the classroom yet, I would highly recommend starting to kind of create a list of what are all of the activities that we could possibly do. Another really fun one, my kids used to love to play Foursquare. Foursquare is a game that they are all about. Now, obviously Foursquare, that requires movement. So they go and pick not Foursquare, Four Corners. I always get those confused, and the kids are like, no, it's not that one. I know, I always mess it up for them too. So Four Corners, so they would have to move to one of the four corners in the classroom. So instead of doing that, they could simply have an object on their desk that they move to one of the four corners, and you can play Four Corners that way versus having them actually do the movement piece. But I highly recommend that you start to kind of find some of those little brain breaks. Keep a list of them, have them on popsicle sticks, do something so that you can just constantly use them, because they need to have some of those movement breaks. Okay, so let's chat a little bit about masks. Okay. I have to tell you guys, the mask was hard. The mask was actually the hardest part out of all of it. The lowest point, okay? The lowest point of my day, I had this really nice little white dress on. Lowest point of my day is during my lunch, I left because I just needed a break to take my mask off. Because remember, when I'm out at recess, I can't take it off. I have to leave it on. I went into the parking lot and I found like a sidewalk that nobody was on, because we have like different parts of our parking lot. I literally sat on the pavement in our parking lot, drinking my Diet Coke and eating my peanut butter sandwich with my mask off. Lowest part of my day. And I just cried because it was really hard. It was a lot harder than what I thought it was. So this is kind of what my situation looks like. This is what I end up using in the classroom. So I found this chain at Michael's. I added a little hook to it at the end of each side, so that way I can just kind of hook my mask and switch them out every single day. But when I have this, like this, it would get really hot in here because I'm constantly talking to the kids. And I don't know if I'm just doing it wrong, but I struggle to breathe I feel like I'm like a heavy breather, maybe. I don't really know, to be honest. But I struggle to breathe and I feel like I'm sucking in the mask all the time. So this piece was really difficult for me. By the end of the day, I mean, in the morning, I was hot. I was already starting to feel super irritated just because the heat that just collects inside of the mask. And I hated every minute of it. I feel like I would crack a joke and I could not even tell if the kids were laughing. I'm like, am I gonna get a smile? Is it like dun-dun-dun? Like, I'm just like, I can't tell anything that's going on. So not being able to see their facial expressions was hard for me. Having to wear it all day, the heat of it, I felt like I was just struggling. And I think that was probably by far the hardest part for me. Now, I will say that when we would go outside, I would get as far away as I could from the kids because they have a huge area that they can use on the playground, but they can't play like on the jungle gym or any of that. But we have like a huge, like, what do they call, like the black tops? So we have a huge black top, and then we also have
baseball field.
Yeah, like it's a lot. Like it's really, really big. And so I'd tell them, you guys can spread apart. And I would try with all my might. I wouldn't take it off, but I would basically like just try to breathe like this through my nose. And then I would have to put it back on. But it was hard. Like it was really hard because I felt like I was talking a lot. And you guys know, if this is not your first rodeo when it comes to teaching, during first day of school, you know that the beginning of the school year is the time when I feel like we are talking the most because we're going over the routines, we're setting reminders, we're, talking to them about the procedures. Like I feel like all we do is talk on the first day of school. Like you leave with your throat hurting just because you're talking so much. This made it way, way worse. So I know that there's a lot of solutions out there. I know that there are a lot of different masks out there. And to be honest, I like these masks. So these are the ones that you can get from Target, but they're not the black ones don't have a little wire inside of it. This one does. So I can bend it to be able to fit my nose shape, which allows me to get a little bit more air in there. Kind of. Kind of. But I like these. Like I'm okay with wearing these. And then the other part of it was that because during the first 4 days while I was in my classroom, if my door was closed, I could take my mask off in my classroom. I have nowhere to go now. Like I have nowhere to go to take my mask off. The kids are always in my room. So when it's my lunch or when it's my special time, I can only go to another teacher's classroom, or specialist classroom. Or I can go to the faculty room, but there's teachers in the faculty room. So it's like, and I didn't have my car on Friday too. So that was another thing. I had total planned that, you know what, I'm just going to eat lunch in my car every single day. And that's going to be my opportunity to take my mask off. I'll have AC, so if it's hot, I could put the AC on inside the car and I can just be in there. That was my total plan from the very beginning, but I didn't have my car on Friday, so it just kind of made it a little bit harder. It was in the shop. I have my car, so tomorrow I have the plan to just go to my car, eat my lunch, and hang out there for a little bit to be able to breathe. So here is, I think it's John Marie Simpson, I think is the way you pronounce her name. I know that they have the little cups. I have not purchased the cups because I did see it online.
Back order.
Oh, they're back order.
The bracket.
Trust me, Trent's been looking for me for quite some time because he knows that I've been struggling with it. That's been my anxiety trigger piece. He's been looking like crazy to find different options for me, bless his heart. And I'm just like, I don't know what I want. So here is the solution that I've come up with. So a teacher partner that actually works like in my hall. She's like on the other side of me. We're always out there, always greeting, we're hanging out, talking or whatever. She shows up on Friday with a shield. Now my district actually got shields that are like a band, and so you put the band around the back, and then it has like a foam piece that you would place like here, and it would just kind of sit off of your forehead type shield. So they bought those. However, I don't know how much I love that, to be honest. This is the dumbest thing ever. And you're going to be like, Bridget, you're being so stupid. And I totally agree with you. I don't want anything on my hair. I know, that sounds so dumb. And it's like, I should not be worried about that at all. But I'm going to put my foot down and I'm going to throw a fit. And I don't want anything on my hair. So that was not going to work for me at all. But she showed up with a shield, and I kept kind of asking her questions about it, because basically it was like the glasses. And I said, well, how do you like it? And she says, well, there's, this piece. And then by the end of the day, she was saying, well, this piece was hurting me. So I'm going to show you what she got, because I actually decided to order it to see. I'm just going to try it out to see how I like it. So this here, I know it's going to be kind of weird is to like see it. Maybe with the glare that looks a little bit better. So this is the face shield here. So it's like some glasses that you put on, and it kind of covers your entire face, essentially. I like how far it goes to the sides. And to be honest, when I was looking at different shields, I was thinking, well, one, I didn't actually want to do a shield. But I figured that when I was crying, eating my peanut butter sandwich and drinking my Diet Coke on the floor outside, I was like, this is low and I really need to fix it. So I started thinking, okay, maybe a face shield isn't going to be horrible. But I started looking into one that kind of clips onto your chin, and it has like the little strings back there, but it only covers like this. So your eyes are kind of, able to see a little bit better. But my thinking with that one was, I don't know if I'm going to love having to take it on and off like with the little straps. So I decided to go with this one. Let me show you what it actually looks like on. So here's what it looks like. So you guys can see, like, it covers a lot of my face. And they're super easy to put on, obviously, because they're glasses, so I'm able to take them on and off. But it covers my entire face like this. Now, I have all this space down here so that I can actually get some air and be able to breathe. And on top of that, I don't feel as though I sound as muffled as I do with the mask. And I even asked my partner, I love how I'm just still wearing this, guys. I even asked the person next to me, and I said, like, do your kids prefer the sound over the mask? Because at one point I asked my kids, I was like, guys, do you hear me well with this? Like, how is the sound with it? And I'll be honest with you guys, I have a microphone in my classroom. Like, I'm very lucky that I have a little mic that I wear around my neck. I can turn it on and the kids in the back can hear me. But they even said, like, even with the mic, I sound really muffled. And again, I think it's because I'm a heavy breather. Like, I must be a heavy breather. Something is going on. But they couldn't hear me well. Like, even you guys, I have a microphone here. Like, I'm sure that you can tell the difference between the way that I sound with this on and then the way that I sound with it off. But she said the kids actually preferred this here more than they did with the mask, obviously. The other thing I like about this, and I know I can't see my kids' facial expressions, but at least they're going to be able to see mine. I think facial expressions are really, really important. Having kids be able to see me and, see the face that I'm making, I think that's important for engagement. So.
Did you have any fog up during class?
She did not have any fog up. No fog. So I think it's because of the way because I don't know, can you guys see? Like, it's like angling out a little bit, like it's coming out.
Did you say these came in today for us?
Yeah, these just came in today. So my hope is to try them out on Monday or tomorrow. But here's how I'm planning on doing it. So I feel like I'm a little weird about this. I feel as though when I'm teaching up front, like in the front of my classroom, away from my students, I will try and wear these. When I'm walking around my kids, I will most likely wear this. I don't know what my theory is there. I don't know if it's because I honestly cannot even begin to tell you what my reasoning is. I don't feel as though, and this is my personal thinking, I am not afraid for myself. I think I'm worried about everyone else around me. So my thinking was that if I'm far enough away, which these are approved by my district, if I'm far enough away from my kids, I should be okay wearing this up front in my classroom, giving the instruction. But as soon as I start to walk around, I can put this on and walk around and not be so worried. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Oh my gosh, you're right. You have to wear both of them?
I don't think that's going to be uncommon.
I think this is, I mean, can you imagine? Guys, like, I feel like the mask is choking me. So that is my thinking with it. I'm going to hope that it works. I mean, at least this kind of allows me to be able to get some air in so that I'm not feeling so confined. So that's my thought. I don't know. We're going to see how it ends up working. My kids did great with their masks. I only had one child that I felt like I had to give reminders to. Everybody else did great. I did notice that towards the very end, kids were switching masks, and like it would be like super like incognito. Because one moment I would see like one mask on, and then the next moment I turn around and I'm like, you did not have that on. They would put a different one on. And I totally understand their logic with that, because I feel like if you're getting a fresh one, it's not as hot, it doesn't feel as damp in there. And so they're able to breathe just a little bit more easily, which is, again, why it's really nice that I have this piece here so that I can just drop it and then put it on when I need to put it on. Oh, so I'm sorry, Leslie. Like, I honestly can't, I don't even know what to say. I hate the inconsistency with everything. I don't like that piece of it. I wish that you would be able to wear a face shield, because it is hard. And I know you've been, Leslie, I know you've been teaching, I think what, like 3 or 4 weeks, almost 4 weeks now. And I feel like it's just incredibly difficult. I admire the people who are able to wear this all day long and not feel as though they're about to just pass out. So I honestly, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so let's chat about all of the other things I had my kids do that day. So I actually ended up only planning out about 3 like big pieces. One, we read a book, and we read the book Sick Simon, which was a recommendation from my cousin Juan from Teaching Third with Mr. G. And so I read that book, and the kids really enjoyed it. And so we had a really nice conversation. We created like an anger chart, just discussing, all right, well, why do we do some of the things that we're doing? Like, how can we stay healthy and clean and keep everyone safe, and kind of like ease into that conversation. Because I also kind of opened it up to my kids. I said, well, what questions do you guys have? I know that this is weird. I know that this is crazy. I know that this is not going to be the same type of year that you want it to be. But I want to know what questions you have. And if I can answer them, I'm going to answer them for you. But I want this to be like, I want you to feel as though you can ask questions with me. So they did. They were great about it. They did absolutely open up, and they asked questions, and they were like, well, you know, are we going to get to see with the other MAC team? And I said, no, we're going to be kind of our own isolated unit. So we talked about that a little bit. We also did like a summer activity, and it's interesting because I say that we're a MAC team, right? So my team is like 3 teachers combined. And so we have 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, but normally our homerooms are mixed. And so every class that we have is like a mixture of grade level students. It allows us to be able to move kids where they need to, be able to hit them where they need the academics the most. So we love it. But we just couldn't do that obviously this year. And so and the previous year, we kind of did things a little bit different because we had a brand new teacher on our team and we wanted to make it as easy and comfortable for her to kind of get into the flow and the motion of just being a teacher. So the kids that I have right now that are 5th graders were our 4th graders last year. And some of those babies, I never really had them for instruction. And so we had a conversation. I said, guys, like how many of you never had a single subject in my classroom? Like you never came to my class. And I would say about half of them raised their hands. And so I told them, I said, so while I may know who you are as like the person, like I can say your name, I can tell you like who your parents are, I can tell you the siblings you have, I don't really know a lot about you personally. So we talked a little bit about that, and the kids did an activity where it's like a Google Slides, but it's an about them and then the places that they went over the summer, or some are like, can we just do our entire lives? I'm like, sure, honey, just do, whenever, but put dates next to them. It ended up working out just fine. So we ended up doing a little summer slides. Some of them have to finish it, which we're going to end up finishing it tomorrow. But then the final thing we did is we basically just did a book vote. So we do read alouds in the afternoon. It's like my favorite part of the day. And so the kids got to listen to portions of each of the books, and then we did book trailers that we were able to watch, and then they completed a Google form in order to vote. So they voted, and then we finally we read the first chapter of our book that we selected, and the kids actually selected the book Restart, which it's fantastic. I already am loving it. I've never read it, but I'm loving it so far. It's about this boy who essentially gets like a second chance at life because spoiler, he's a bully. It's not really a spoil, but he's a bully, and he ends up getting amnesia because he falls off the roof of his house. And so he kind of starts discovering what kind of a person he is. And so he starts either making changes or does not make changes, or he has to kind of choose between new friends or, the ones that he used to have before he, hit his head. So it's a really, really great book. But we're going to kind of pull that into like as an interactive read aloud this year. So that's basically all we did. And I think that was really, really hard for me because, again, we don't have a ton of activities where I'm able to get them to get up, get moving. And that's kind of my go-to. Like, I love collaboration. I love movement in the classroom. I love people working in teams and competing against. And that's kind of what I've always done. So now I can't really do that. So that was a huge struggle. So what am I going to do this next week? Well, I mentioned to you guys, I really have like 4 full days. And I did figure out some really good activities. And I'm going to tell you, like, I'm going to do a video this week. And the video that I'm going to film at school is basically going to be me sharing the activities that worked really well for the situation that I'm in. So in person, not a ton of movement happening, like facing forward, whole group style, but working independently essentially. I'm going to share the activities that work really well, and then I'm going to share the activities that are a complete bomb. Let's cross our fingers that I don't have a ton of those. So that's going to be my video for this next Sunday, so be on the lookout for it. I will also tell you guys, I mentioned in the last, I think, few Sunday live chats that we've ordered a new computer. We've ordered a PC that's really going to allow us to be able to make these live chats so much better. First thing that's going to be better is going to be the quality, because I can't live stream. I have a really great camera, and yet I can't live stream because of the way my computer works at 1080. So the computer should hopefully be here within the next week or two. So because I'm going to release that video on Sunday, I'm actually not going to do a live chat next Sunday. I'm going to kind of hold it and see if our computer gets here this week so that we have about a week or two to be able to play with all of the things and so that we can get accustomed to it before we actually go live with it. But here is my plan, and this is what I want you all to be very, very excited about. Are you ready? That was me doing a little mini drum roll. So here's what I want to do next. For the next live chat that we have, I want to do a plan with me. So this is going to be where there's some really fancy little setup, but I have my iPad. I'm going through materials, and we're going to do an entire plan with me on Sunday. Isn't that exciting? Not next Sunday. Not next Sunday. We're going to hope for the next. So 2 weeks. Okay? Not next Sunday, but the next one. So I want you to go ahead and put that in your calendar, save it, do like a live, type plan with me, and I will be getting into the first 10 days of ELA. So if you remember the beginning of the year mini series, the first video, I talked all about the first 10 days lessons. And so I mentioned that I had those entire lessons written out for you. So I'm going to use those lessons to help plan that entire chat. Plus I'm going to do some math ones. I'll do some content because I have all the things in there that I need to plan. So I know I'm really excited about it too. I think you guys are really going to love it. And I just think the overall, the computer is going to be so much better than what we have.
Was that lesson plan or was that a freebie?
Yes.
Should we make it a freebie right now?
Sure. All right. So give Trent just a minute because he's going to actually make the first 10 days of ELA lessons free so that you guys, if you don't end up having it already, you're going to be able to go and grab it. But yeah, yes, with the new planner that Michelle and I have actually created. And so spoiler alert, the planner that I have is actually going to be the one that I am personally using. I'm not using the Google Slides. I'm using the GoodNotes version, but it's the one that allows me, there's me, that allows me to have my iPad like this. Because when I walk around in class, this is how I walk around. I'm either using checklists on here, I'm in Schoology, or I'm looking at different forms, I'm looking at my lessons. So I use the portrait style that allows me to keep my iPad like this. I have no idea if you guys are going to be able to tell. But this is what, actually, you know what? I do know how to fix that. So that's the version that I'm using. So you can see it fills up my entire screen. So that way I can just hold my iPad like this and then I'm able to do my plans like this. So yes, I am going to be using this specific planner in order to do my video. Let me open you guys back up. Okay. So, I'm excited. I'm excited for the new computer that's going to come. For my BLC people, if you're in here or if you're watching the replay, remember how I told you guys, I have had probably a really bad string of just bad days these past 2 or 3 weeks. When it pours, when it rains, it pours type situation. That's exactly what was happening. So for my birthday, I actually got a brand new laptop. I got the 16-inch MacBook Pro. I got it everything that I needed for it because I've been doing so much on the computer every single day. I'm working on several different projects. It's probably driving me crazy. But there's a touch bar, right? In the brand new MacBooks, they have a touch bar over the top of the keyboard. I was taking something down from this rig that we have in our office, which I am going to do an office tour, but after we get the PC situated. So taking something down and I'm like Butterfingers over here. It slips. And of course my laptop is open here, which I will never leave my laptop on this table again. And it smashes my touch bar.
A month into owning it.
A month after owning it, smashes my touch bar. I cried so hard. It was absolutely ridiculous how I cried. Like I'm like shaking. And like Trent can totally tell you guys, like I was crazy crying.
It was too much.
It was too much. But I mean it was real. Like it was not like fake. So we finally got it in. We took it to Apple. We set it up with the Genius Bar. They were able to get it to Houston on Wednesday. We dropped it off on Tuesday, and I got it back yesterday. Such a fast turnaround, but I'm so happy to be able to have my laptop back. So now I can get back to work doing all the other things that I'm supposed to be doing because I have not been doing it since I haven't had my laptop. Thankfully, it is fixed though. So, all those are good things. Do you guys have any questions about first day?
I will send you those. Start with the Instagram ones.
Oh, that's right. Guys, I did some questions on Instagram, and so I want to answer those real fast.
And then I've got some saved here.
Okay, so one of the things that somebody asked me here. So someone asked, can you pass papers and collect them, or is everything mostly digital using technology? So actually, my principal recommends that we don't use paper as much as possible, because what he's saying is that there should technically be like a wait time between, me giving it to them or them giving it to me. So we've kind of come up with a little system. I actually put out my mailboxes, which I originally did not want to put out because I didn't think that there was going to be a purpose to it. But I did put the mailboxes out, and inside of each mailbox is going to be like a blank file folder. So when the kids have something that they want to give me, they put it in that file folder, they leave it in there, and then if I want to collect it, after 2 days or whatever to grade it, I can do it that way. But for the most part, because we're going to be using Schoology, and if something was to happen and we were to go virtual, I want them to be used to using Schoology as much as possible. So I'm not going to be doing as much when it comes to paper at all.
Is your Wi-Fi on so I can send you the questions?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So another question I have is, what are some of the instructional approaches that I'm using? I'll be honest, guys, that's what I'm going to try out this week. So stay tuned, look for that Sunday video so that you can see some of the instructional strategies that I'm using to try to make things a little bit more engaging. So it's not just I'm going to teach it to you, now you're going to do it independently type situation. I don't want it to be a boring day at school. I want them to enjoy coming to class. So I'm definitely going to be sharing those soon. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of passing out papers. I'm going to try not to do that as much as possible. So if you guys have one-to-one, I recommend going as virtual as you possibly can when it comes to all of your assignments. Somebody asked, what year is this for you teaching? My 9th year? Is this my 9th year? Yeah. It's my gosh, guys, I'm almost to 10 years. That's exciting. I need to change.
I had to email.
I'm kidding. How many masks do kids need every day? They really just use one, but I recommend that they bring in an extra, which some of my kids were using it. How to still collaborate while maintaining social distance? To be honest, teachers are not collaborating other than either working in Zooms at the moment. Right now, they kind of just stopped all of that for the time being until we kind of get ourselves used to all of the new procedures and everything. But students-wise, I'm going to be honest, I haven't quite found the solution to that. I think that there are some really great applications that you're going to use out there. I recommend Padlet is one, Flipgrid is another that I use a ton. Google Docs, they can create a shared Google Doc that they can be able to work in and be able to provide feedback. So there's going to be a lot of different things that I feel like I'm going to try over the next several weeks, and I will definitely keep you guys up to date on how those are all really working for me. And I think that was it. There were some of them that were a ton of repeats. Okay, what do you got?
Email.
You sent me an email.
Well, it didn't work over AirDrop. There's a good one to work on right now. How does lunch work for students and teachers?
So for kids, this was something that was very new as well. So for kids, one of the first things that ends up happening in the morning is I have to take a count of how many kids are going to eat lunch that day. And then I have to make a count for how many kids will eat breakfast for the next day. Okay, so I'm taking a lunch count for the day of and a breakfast count for the next day. So breakfast will actually get dropped off in my room before the kids arrive, which is really nice. So as they come in, they can eat breakfast in their classroom. And the way that I kind of tell them is I said, if people are walking around, you need to have your mask up. When people are all seated, you can take your mask down and you can eat at that time. And so that's the same situation for lunch. So we wash our hands before lunch arrives in the classroom, and I do one by one to go back to my sink to wash hands. And so once everyone is seated, we pass out the lunches, we get everyone situated, and then I tell them to open up their food, mask down, and then they can eat. I have an assistant that comes in my classroom that allows me to go out and be able to eat lunch wherever I want to go. Friday, it was on the pavement by myself, tearing up, eating a PB, peanut butter sandwich. Most likely it will be my car other days. So then I'm able to come back. My assistant will take care of making sure that the kids throw away their food one by one. So it'll be like such and such person, like everybody put masks back on. We're all finished. Like go throw your food away, go wash your hands. And they just do that one by one by one. So it's a huge, long process, but they did really, really well with that. I was incredibly impressed with it. So that's for the most part how we end up running it. Some of the questions that were in the chat. So what's my breakdown for my ELA? Bowtie, I'm going to tell you, like, I'm going to follow bridging literacy because I honestly, and I'm just going to teach it whole group. The bridging literacy method allows me to just do a 15 to 20 minute mini lesson. The kids will have a practice. They're going to have some sort of independent reading, and that's really going to be about it. So I'm following those lesson plans to the T. So it's these right here. So I have unit 1 done. Unit 2 is still coming, but this is going to be what I'm working on the entire time. So it's mini lesson, independent reading, finish their like practice from the mini lesson that day. And then we'll do kind of a collective, here's how the day went. Anybody want to share something from it type thing. But I mean, it's an hour. It's not a lot of time. Penny says, I know you've taught kindergarten. Do you have any tips for the younger grades after your first day? So as far as tips for instruction, I honestly will say doing a lot of get to know me. I know that you can't necessarily I know one of the things that I did in kindergarten was we celebrated each kid's name. So the kids had all of these different little cutouts that they would do, like to be able to manipulate and play with the kids' names, to be able to learn the letters, the sounds, all of those pieces, and to learn kids' names, obviously. But we did a lot of songs, we did a lot of those activities, and those were really great. But I would say get to know you activities, do some of your basics, and I highly recommend bridging reading and writing for kindergarten. Because if they're reading, I see a yellow cat. If they're working on like color words and they're working on those high frequency words, they need to come up with a story that is something very similar. So for Blaine, for example, over the summer, or I think it was during like his virtual stuff, we went around his room and he found different objects in his room that he found, and we created a sentence for each of those objects using the color words and his high frequency words. So he was able to kind of replicate that book, but it made his own. And so we oftentimes will look at that book and we'll look at his book and he'll see the similarities between them because we use kind of that same sentence structure there. But I highly recommend bridging that piece because kids, I mean, it's harder. It's just going to be hard for those babies. And so you have to kind of make those connections as much as possible versus having them so separate, if that makes sense. Lola asked, do you have any ideas for building classroom community like for the students online? I think for the most part, you want to structure it as a morning meeting. Morning meeting is hands down my answer to building classroom community. And so when you structure it to the point where you're having some sort of a greeting, whether it's a chant that the kids are responding to virtually, so you can say, good morning, I'm so happy you're here. Good morning, same blank, tell me something you want to hear or something. I can't think of my chants right now. So it's really bad. I don't chant as much anymore during morning meeting because my 5th and 6th graders are like, I ain't doing that. It's lame. They don't like me when I do those. So I highly recommend doing like chants, do a greeting, make sure you're allowing kids to share. That's going to be the biggest part of all of it. Have kids share, have kids respond to what other kids are sharing. And a lot of the times I would just ask, does anybody have a follow-up question? And I would ask for 2 follow-up questions for each person that shared that day. You can pick like 3 or 4 kids to share virtually, give them a topic that they have to answer, a question that they have to answer, and then allow kids to do follow-up questions. That's really, really important during that time. Creating classroom books are always really great to build classroom community. The kids enjoy reading each other's responses. You can do this as easily as creating a Google slide, sharing it out with all the students. Each student has their own dedicated slide that they have to write some sort of part to, either a story, or I did this a lot in kindergarten, like just sentences. So I see and then they would have to write. And so everybody had their own separate, quiet. So everybody had their own separate sentence and they would just put their pictures there that they can find online. But you have an entire class book, made by everyone that contributed to that. And so those get to be really special to kids and they enjoy those pieces because it's something that they made with their classmates. So I highly recommend that as well. And then finally, you're doing some sort of an activity. I know we did a lot of directed drawings. We did some different activities where they had to go out and find things. We've done some where they would have to guess certain things. So I would give them different clues and they would have to guess it. So they would either have a whiteboard or they would have a sheet of paper that they would write their guesses on and they would hold it up. So structure it like a morning meeting. That's going to be your hands down your best way to building that community, even if you're virtual. I love them. And it's really, really hard for me to not have one this year because of how tight my schedule is. Luckily, my kids all know each other. They all flip and love each other. It's reminders to social distance outside was crazy. They all cling. They cling. It's like static.
What was the name of the book?
Sick Simon? Is that the one you're talking about?
Sick as in ill?
Yeah, Sick Simon. He has boogers coming out his nose and everybody's running away from him. It's fun.
Should I add that to the Amazon?
I would. It's a really great book. So any other questions? I feel like I have to go back and look. Oh, good, Lola. Let me know how it goes. So kind of keep me up to date and let me know how the morning meetings go. I will also tell you guys that let me actually see if I can find it because this is important. Do not leave this chat yet until I put this in here so that you guys can go and grab it. There is a link to something that I think is going to be incredibly beneficial to all of you who want to build classroom community, but you're not really sure how to do it. So Responsive Classroom is actually the one who is responsible, for morning meetings. They came out with an entire COVID-19, what you could do if you were in person and how you could do this virtually activities. I'm going to actually put this link in the chat right now. And I want you guys to go and click on it. I love how I show up as Bridget Spackman and you show up as the lettered classroom.
You must be logged in on the other one?
I guess so. So I want you guys to go and click on that link under Bridget Spackman, and you're going to have to sign up. It's like a free resource, but it's so great because it gives you multiple grade levels and it gives you a ton of different ideas of like activities and shares and greets that you could do virtually, you could do in person. And so it's a great resource to have like all around. Definitely go and check that out. Capiche? I think you guys are going to like it. Oh, Laura, thank you so much for saying that you love the podcast. I love doing the podcast with Michelle. It's always really fun. It's definitely a great journey. I'm enjoying it. So G-Rod, they are actually, I let them kind of whisper talk. So we tell them that they can't really project themselves. So like right now I'm projecting my voice, right? Because I feel like you guys can't hear me because you're so far away. But really my microphone's right here. I really shouldn't have to be that loud. But I tell them that they cannot project their voice because when we do that, the saliva, everything just goes into the air a little bit further. So they're able to like quietly whisper, which is what they do. And then they put their masks back on once they're finished. I think that is going to be it. So for some reason, the link was not allow people to click for me.
Which one?
So it's right above, it says Bridget Spackman. It's a responsiveclassroom.org. Do you see that link? I don't think they can click that for me.
I probably blocked you.
Why?
I don't even see you in the chat. All right, I don't.
Let me see. Hold on. I'm going to see if I can change who I am.
Maybe you should just work on yourself instead of change who you are.
Honey, stop talking. Oh, okay. I got myself in here. I love my face sometimes on camera. Goodness gracious, Bridget. I just put it down as the lettered classroom. So now you guys should be able to click on it. So that's the resource. You will have to sign up for free, but they are going to give you a lot of different, great resources that you can use just to build morning meeting inside of your classroom. So definitely go and check it out. Okay. So I think that's going to be it. I'm going to go ahead and end this here because I need to finish getting all my lessons and everything ready for tomorrow morning. I go back to work tomorrow. Summer is over. But guys, thank you all so much for joining this live chat. I hope you enjoyed just kind of this reflection of the first day of school, going back in person. Please give this video a thumbs up right now so that you don't forget whenever this does end. Just click that little thumbs up type button. I didn't get any thumbs down.
You had one and they disappeared, so that's good.
Oh, thank goodness. Maybe they were like, ugh, she's horrible. And then they were like, okay, wait a minute. She's
so
speaking
bad.
some truth here. And so they removed it. So go ahead and give the video a thumbs up, please. Subscribe if you are not already subscribed. I talk a lot about literacy instruction, just overall building classroom community, organization, all of the different things that I feel like will really kind of benefit you if you want to grow as an educator. And hit the notification bell. Guys, if you don't hit that notification bell, some of the videos, like things that I'm going to be putting up and changing, you're not going to know that they're up. So definitely hit the notification bell so that you can get notified every time I go live or I upload a new video. And I so appreciate you guys for joining me. I felt like there was a good number of you people.
See how the sound went, because that's a new microphone.
Oh yeah, guys, so I got a new microphone. I'm trying to really up my live game here.
Thanks to BLC.
Thanks to BLC. Yes, it is bridging literacy. Like if it was not for those of you who sign up for the bridging literacy community and kind of contribute in that way, I wouldn't be able to kind of grow in these areas and be able to add more to the videos and to the sound quality. We are truly trying to work on making this more professional, more just overall a more pleasurable experience for you, for all of you who are watching. So I hope that you enjoyed the sound quality, because I do have a new microphone. And thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate the time that you guys take from your day to be able to join me live. And I will not see you next Sunday. I will have a video up next Sunday, but I will not see you live next Sunday. And then hopefully we can get on so we can do an entire plane with me together pretty soon, 2 weeks. Let's do it in 2 weeks. Okay. Let's say that. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all, in a couple of weeks live. Bye.